Young and the Restless reveals unexpected situations between Phyllis and Sally. Phyllis Summer's life has always been full of tense situations and shady intrigue. However, this time, she faces a bigger problem than she has ever experienced. Aristotle Dumas, a rising star in the financial world, suddenly appears and makes a splash when he partners with Billy Abbott in a big deal. This combination seems like a golden opportunity for Billy, but it makes Phyllis feel more insecure than ever. Although Billy always insists that he is sane, Phyllis cannot deny that Aristotle has too many mysteries and suspicious things going on around him. Phyllis's research and disturbing findings. Phyllis, not one to be fooled, decides to conduct an extensive investigation into Aristotle Dumas. She searches for every piece of information possible, hoping to find a clue that can shed light on Dumas' true character. However, all her efforts yielded no concrete results. Aristotle was an extremely secretive man, talented enough to maintain a perfect cover. Phyllis realized that Dumas was probably rich enough to buy anonymity and had the ability to hide any wrongdoing. This made her even more nervous when she saw Billy, who could not resist great opportunities, entering into a deal with Dumas without any suspicion of the man's true intentions. Phyllis tried to warn Billy, but he saw no reason to worry. "I'm very sober, Phyllis. This is an opportunity one can't refuse," Billy firmly defended his decision. However, Phyllis couldn't relax when she saw Billy taking such a risk with someone like Aristotle. She sensed something fishy and couldn't let go of her anxiety. The appearance of Lily Winters and unanswered questions. While Phyllis continues to be tense, another important factor enters the picture. Lily Winters, always sharp and cautious, overhears the name Aristotle Dumas while chatting with Billy and Phyllis. She cannot help but express her interest in the character and asks for more information about him. Lily is very careful when working with partners, especially those with shady pasts and connections. When she hears about Billy's partnership with Dumas, she immediately senses that something is wrong. Billy and Phyllis begin to exchange information about Aristotle with Lily, and she becomes increasingly worried. "There's something wrong with Dumas," Lily comments after hearing it. "Not only is he rich, but he's also very secretive. This makes me worry about his true motives." Lily's suspicions grow more and more, and this makes Phyllis even more worried. She begins to see that Billy cannot handle this alone, and she decides that she needs to seek help from others. Unexpected alliance. Phyllis and Sally Spector. Realizing that the situation is getting more and more tense, Phyllis decides to seek help from someone who can help her deal with the situation. Sally Spector, with whom Phyllis has had many confrontations in the past, now becomes her reluctant ally. While Sally is not someone who easily agrees to cooperate, when she realizes that Aristotle's actions could affect her relationships, she has no choice but to join Phyllis's plan. Phyllis asks Sally to help her sabotage the deal between Billy and Aristotle. Sally, with her smart instincts and foresight, agrees to join, though not out of loyalty to Phyllis. She sees this as an opportunity to protect her interests, while also gaining control of the situation. The two decide to create a strategy to make it impossible for Aristotle to continue with the deal with Billy. Using her tricks, Sally will find a way to make Aristotle face some challenges that he cannot overcome. They will do everything to make Aristotle lose the trust that Billy has in him, and at the same time make Billy understand that he should not risk associating with someone like Dumas. The surprises in Phyllis and Sally's strategy. But, like any other complicated strategy, things are not simple. The relationship between Phyllis and Sally has undergone major changes throughout the partnership. Sally, despite her cold and calculating appearance, begins to feel that Phyllis is relying too much on her. She wonders if Phyllis really knows what she is doing, or if it is simply a blind plan. Meanwhile, Phyllis, with her constant worries about her and Billy's future, begins to feel like she is losing control. Although she has a clear plan, every step is easily disrupted by Aristotle's surprises and Billy's actions. Just when everything seems to be going downhill, a crucial piece of information is revealed. Aristotle is not only a wealthy man, but also has complex relationships with figures from Genoa City's past. He has unexpected connections to big businessmen and may even have more far-reaching influence than Billy could have imagined. This forces everyone to change their strategies, and the next developments will become more tense than ever. The relationship between Phyllis, Sally, Billy, and Aristotle is now no longer just a simple power play. The intertwined secrets, intrigues, and strategies will continue to push the story to new heights. Aristotle Dumas is no easy opponent, and Billy Abbott is no easy opponent to give up on big opportunities. However, with the alliance of Phyllis and Sally, can they foil Aristotle's plan and keep Billy on the safe path, or will the surprises that Dumas brings push things into an even more dangerous situation? It's only just beginning, and Genoa City will never be the same again. Sally Spectra's life in Genoa City is always associated with fluctuations and constant battles. Although she has proven her mettle many times, there are still things that make her hesitate. One of the worrying issues at the moment is the negative influence of Phyllis Summers on Billy Abbott. Sally can't help but feel worried when seeing the instability that Phyllis brings to Billy. While Billy, with his strong personality and not afraid of challenges, often gets caught up in the big opportunities that others offer, Sally can't help but see the potential danger in this relationship. One morning, as Sally sat with Chloe Mitchell at a familiar coffee shop, she couldn't help but share her frustration. "Chloe, I really don't understand Phyllis. What is she doing to Billy? She's a bad influence on him, and I can't just sit by and watch it happen," Sally sighed, her face full of concern. Chloe, always the practical one and not afraid to push Sally further, looked at her seriously. "Sally, if you want to keep Billy by your side and stay away from Phyllis, you'll have to do something. Otherwise, you'll lose him again. Maybe it's time to go back to your old ways. You need to get rid of Phyllis, don't let her ruin everything," Chloe advised. Although Chloe seemed to always support decisive decisions, Sally couldn't help but feel ambivalent about this advice. She knew she had used ruthless tactics in the past, but was that the way to deal with Phyllis again? Sally didn't want to fall into such a negative battle. "I don't want to do that." "Not this time," Sally replied, looking at Chloe with a troubled gaze. She knew that Phyllis was a cunning and unpredictable opponent. She also knew that Phyllis always had a way of messing things up, and Sally couldn't let herself be an accomplice to those games. A tense encounter. Phyllis seeks Sally. While Sally and Chloe were still exchanging their thoughts, a familiar figure walked in through the cafe door, Phyllis Summers. Although Sally didn't want to face her, Phyllis always had a way of getting people's attention. Phyllis stopped in front of their table, her eyes sharp and confident. She said, "Sally, we need to talk. This is not the time to avoid it." Chloe, sensing the tension rising, stood up and left Sally and Phyllis. She didn't want to be a witness to this confrontation. "Okay, I'll let you guys handle this. But remember, it might not be easy," Chloe said and walked out. Phyllis sat down across from Sally, her eyes never leaving her. "I want to talk about something important. Billy and I have discussed a deal that I'm not comfortable with. I hear Billy has a contract with Aristotle Dumas. You know, the man who can hide all his sins with money and power." Sally looked at Phyllis intently, unable to deny that she was also concerned about Aristotle. However, Billy had decided to enter into this deal, and Sally did not want to interfere with his business decisions. "Phyllis, I can't just interfere with Billy's every decision. He's an adult and can make his own choices. I can't impose my opinions on him." However, Phyllis was not about to give up easily. She continued, "Sally, I know you may not want to do this, but if anyone can stop Billy from working with Aristotle Dumas, it's you. You know him better than anyone. You can protect him from the potential manipulation that Dumas brings. This is where you have to step in." Sally's internal debate. Although Sally did not like to get involved in this fight, she could not deny the truth in Phyllis's words. Aristotle was a dangerous opponent, and Billy, though rational, was prone to being drawn into opportunities that were too tempting. Sally knew that if she didn't act, Billy might find himself in a situation he couldn't get out of. Still, she couldn't do it the way Phyllis wanted. "I can't just go in and talk Billy out of a deal just because I'm worried about him," Sally said, her tone firm. "Billy needs to learn from his mistakes. I'm not going to interfere with his decision-making." Phyllis wasn't going to give up easily. She looked at Sally squarely. Sally, you may not see the threat right now, but I've studied Aristotle for a long time. He's not a simple man. If Billy continues to work with Dumas, I'm afraid he'll lose everything: Abbott Communications, his position, and even his friends. Phyllis didn't stop, continuing to emphasize her concerns about Aristotle, and warning Sally that she could face serious consequences if she didn't act. Sally felt pressured. She looked at Phyllis, then out the window, where the sunlight was shining through the lush green leaves. A decision had to be made, and time was not on her side. Although she didn't want to fall into this game, Sally finally realized that if she didn't act, Billy might fall into the hands of someone as dangerous as Aristotle, and she wouldn't be able to save everything when it was too late. She stood up, her eyes more determined than ever. Okay, I'll help you this time. But I can't promise it will be easy. The conversation between Sally and Phyllis ended with extreme tension. Both knew that they were entering a battle whose outcome was unpredictable. Aristotle Dumas is a formidable opponent, and only time will tell whether Billy can stand up to the temptation he brings. But whatever the outcome, one thing is certain: this fight will not be as simple as Sally and Phyllis think. In Genoa City, family relationships are always complicated and unpredictable. While Billy Abbott is rushing into risky deals with Aristotle Dumas, his brother Jack Abbott cannot sit still and interfere. Although Jack has always supported Billy in many of his previous decisions, this time, he cannot help but express his concerns. Billy's foolish and thoughtless actions are gradually becoming a burden, not only for Billy himself but also for Abbott Communications. Billy refuses to listen to any advice from others, especially from Jack. He feels that he is mature enough and capable of making his own decisions. Jack, I understand your worries, but I have complete faith in Abbott Communications. This is a great opportunity that we cannot miss, Billy firmly replied, his eyes unwavering. Jack, with his anxiety rising, cannot help but feel frustrated by his brother's reckless attitude. Billy, I'm just trying to protect you. You can't just rush into deals without knowing the risks. I don't like what you're doing with Aristotle, Jack protested, but Billy seemed to take no notice of his brother's warnings. Jack eventually relented, though. Billy didn't want to listen to anyone, and Jack couldn't stop his brother from making a decision. When Billy mentioned that Aristotle Dumas had tried to right the wrongs he'd suffered at Chancellor, Jack became even more concerned. Aristotle? He's not the man you need in your life, Billy, Jack warned. But Billy gently assured him, don't worry, I've done my research and I'm confident in this choice. With a sigh, Jack signed the necessary papers, showing his trust in Billy's decision, even though he couldn't help but worry. Sally and Phyllis meeting, worry and strategy. While Billy is still busy with his deals, Sally Spector begins to feel deeply worried. She knows that Phyllis Summers and Billy are business partners, but she is not aware of the details behind the deals Billy is involved in, especially his relationship with Aristotle Dumas. Sally feels that something is not right with Aristotle, and she becomes even more worried when she realizes that Phyllis knows more about this relationship. Sally decides to go to Phyllis to ask about the situation. Even though she knows that Phyllis is not an easy person to approach and is not her friend, Sally can't help but feel that she needs help from this woman. Phyllis, I know you are involved in the deal between Billy and Aristotle. He is risking too much. I need you to tell me what is going on, Sally requests, but Phyllis just smiles politely. Phyllis, though a little concerned about Billy's situation, was reluctant to divulge any information. Billy's an adult, Sally. He can decide what he wants to do, Phyllis replied, her expression remaining polite and unfazed. Sally couldn't help but feel that something was odd about Phyllis's demeanor. She sensed that Phyllis might be hiding something, but couldn't find any concrete evidence. Surely you know more than you're saying, don't you? Sally asked, but Phyllis just smiled smugly, as if everything was fine. Despite her uneasy feeling, Sally couldn't press Phyllis for more. Sally and Chloe's conversation, the subtleties of strategy. After her less than satisfactory encounter with Phyllis, Sally turned to Chloe Mitchell for support. Even though Sally knew Chloe was outspoken and not afraid to speak her mind, she still felt a little apprehensive. However, her worries about Billy and the uncertainty of the arrangements left Sally with no other choice. "Chloe, I'm really worried about Billy. He's involved in these arrangements with Aristotle Dumas, and I don't know if he realizes the potential danger. Phyllis seems to know more about what's going on, but she won't share anything with me," Sally confided, her face full of concern. Chloe listened, but then she couldn't hold back her thoughts. "Sally, sometimes you have to act your way. Phyllis and Billy aren't easy, but if you want to protect yourself and Billy, maybe it's time to play dirty. Don't let them fool you," Chloe suggested, her tone full of strategy. She knew that Sally was strong and would do anything to protect the people she cared about. Although not a fan of underhanded tactics, Sally began to feel that she might need to do something drastic to resolve the situation. However, she did not want to fall into dirty tricks. She still hoped that she could handle things more delicately. Back to Phyllis, complicated emotions and deception. Phyllis is still keeping a calm demeanor in the face of events around her. She acts like a good friend to Billy, but this politeness may just be a mask that hides her true feelings. She may be trying to maintain harmony in her relationship with Billy, but is she really worried about him, or is she just looking out for her own interests? Sally begins to realize that Billy may be deceiving her about the safety of the deal with Aristotle. Although he always insists that everything is fine, the change in Phyllis's attitude makes her feel uncomfortable. Perhaps Phyllis is trying to keep Billy closer to her to easily control every situation, and Sally cannot help but worry about this. The relationship between Sally, Phyllis, and Billy continues to become complicated as each has their own secrets and goals. Aristotle Dumas remains a shadowy figure, and Billy's decisions could have unforeseen consequences. Sally finds herself in a world of intrigue and deception, but she can't stand still. Will she take the hard road to protect Billy, or will she let things go his way? This battle won't be as simple as they seem. Family relationships, friendships, and careers will be tested, and every decision will have lasting effects on everyone. Subscribe to Y&R for the latest news on our channel.